Hello, how are you doing? My name is Seán Treacy and welcome to this YSI resource video in which we'll be learning about navigating the political landscape here in Ireland and approaching political representatives who might be able to support our ideas for social change. Now, unfortunately, I'm just as clueless as the next guy with a beanie when it comes to talking about politics, but thankfully today we have an expert on hand who is going to help us explore this very misunderstood, but definitely frustratingly mysterious world of politics so that we can connect with our local politicians and ask them to support our ideas for social change. Let's get talking. Okay, here we are. You might be wondering why I'm in a car surrounded by fields. The answer really lies in the fact that my Wi-Fi at home is absolutely atrocious, and so out here with my phone's personal hotspot is legitimately the best place for me to get Wi-Fi, which sounds insane, but unfortunately it's the truth. Jerry, first of all, how are you doing?
Very good, Sean. Delighted to be here. I'm delighted to have this conversation.
My first question for you, Jerry, is in the simplest terms possible. Can you tell us how the political system in Ireland is made up, and how people become political representatives? So, for example, you've got the councillor, TDs, ministers. How do people get into those roles?
No matter what part of the country you live in, we effectively we're living under two governments almost.
Yeah.
One is your local authority, so they look after day-to-day services in your area. They look after planning decisions. You know, what's going to be built in your community? Does it fit in with the community? And is it right for the community? Then, of course, we have national government, which decides national policy. I mean, if you think of pressing issues like climate action, it is the national government that gives the lead on climate action. They decide taxation, for example, and so they would decide how much everything costs. They decide the length of the college year, the length of the school year. So everything that impacts in our life, they decide. How people enter politics, so there is no set route. It's like any other job, you know. I mean, there's no set route into any job, really. Yeah. Generally, though, they are people who've been active in local issues all their lives. Yeah. So a lot of politicians start in the young youth wing of political parties. Now, it's not necessarily because we have independent politicians as well, who are, of course, members of no party, but you might see them active in student unions, for example. So generally, they are people who've been involved in bringing about change or try to activate change from a very early age.
What is the best way then for young people to get in touch with their local politician? Is it email, letter, Twitter, or are kind of all mediums the same? Is any one really better than the other?
I think there's a thin line between reaching out to your politician and becoming a pest.
Yes.
So you always have to be careful about that. A lot of politicians are active on Twitter. Twitter is their preferred platform. So you can simply tag your local TDs or your local councillors and put a tweet out. You can email them, of course. Most TDs, most councillors have a local office, so you can actually email them. Or you find often on a Saturday morning, because they're in Dublin for much of the week, TDs, you often find that on Saturday morning, because they're down at home, they'll actually have what they call a clinic. So you go on their website, you find out the times of the clinic. You may have to make an appointment, sometimes you don't, but literally you can stroll in and have a conversation with them. I personally, I think the email as the initial contact is the best way, and you would go to your local TD first. Find out what constituency you are in, find out your list of TDs. Depending on the population of your constituency, you'll have between 3 and 5 TDs representing your area. And you can just go onto the Oireachtas website, oireachtas.ie, and there's a search system there for TDs, and it will have their email address. Your area will be represented by both opposition and government TDs, because of our multi-seat system. So you have the opportunity, you can engage with all of them, which is probably the best way forward. Or you might decide, actually, let's say Sinn Féin are really strong on this issue that I care about. So you may decide to reach out to a Sinn Féin TD. It could be an independent TD who's literally a standalone for your area and not part of a structure. But I mean, to answer the question very briefly, email, I believe, is the most effective. You will find, actually, they will, first of all, acknowledge the fact that you've reached out to them, that will happen within a matter of 2 or 3 days. Like, it can happen really fast. I mean, very quickly, you should be sitting in front of at least one of your local TDs.
When a young person then sends this email, how do you recommend they really grab the attention of the politician?
At the very heart of our system is elections. There's one thing we are sure of, that at least every 5 years, these politicians, no matter how senior they are, have to go before their neighbours, their friends, their community, and they have to get elected. So if you live in their local area, what's very effective is if you have people of a similar mind to you to form a group or form a campaign. Because if you think about it, when a politician sees that, they say, well, this is not just one person. Then because you have shown that there are numbers behind you, the politician, if they want to survive, literally has to sit up and listen. So it could be you, 3 or 4 of your friends, ideally living in the same constituency, gathering together saying, yes, this is important to me. We all want to change it. Starting a campaign, opening a Facebook page, opening a Twitter account around the campaign, letting the local politicians know this campaign has begun. We would love your support, both at council level and at national level. And then watch it grow and gather momentum. I mean, the most exciting part of it is when you do change people's minds.
Yes.
A huge part of politics, the vast majority of politics happens outside the chamber. And it is about politicians engaging with people of all ages, increasingly, and what we are seeing, which is hugely encouraging, increasingly young people are becoming far more active. Increasingly young people have opinions and informed opinions. And you will find that politicians are actually very open to listening. And they may not agree with you straight away, and it may take some time to change their minds, but that's democracy. At least the meeting is opening the door. They are probably, and this is the same with all issues, you probably will find that rather than being opposed to you, they just hadn't thought about the issue that you're bringing to them. So you're far more likely to find they have no opinion rather than you're completely up against a black wall.
What I'm really getting here from you is just that it's a far less intimidating world than I think a lot of, not just young people, but everyone would expect it to be or anticipate politics to be. From what I'm hearing here, they're either really open-minded, and if they're not, it is actually possible to change their mind. I mean, that's the whole point of activism, to make change, right? And it is possible, and that's just really encouraging.
I mean, this is the moment to try and influence and try and ensure in the next Oireachtas that what you think is important is reflected in national politics.
Jerry, that is absolutely everything I had to ask. Anyone who's watching this video probably cannot thank you enough for just sharing all that information with us, because now I guess at least I have a complete new understanding of how the world of politics works in Ireland.
Thanks, Sean. And all I'd say to everyone is get emailing, build your campaign, and together let's bring about change.
Well, with that all being said, between myself and the wonderful Jerry O'Connor, it's time to look at what we've learned in this video. Number one, there is no direct route into politics. If it's a career that you are after, then simply get involved in your local community as much as possible. It's as simple a step as you get. 2, the most effective way for you to gain the support of your local political representative is by forming a campaign. But please don't let the word campaign scare you. It doesn't have to be that complicated. With your group, try setting up a social media page where all of your ideas and your contributions as a group can pour into a single space where you can gain the support of the public. 3, the next step is to find the politicians that are actually going to be able to help you. And the place where you can find these politicians is on the Oireachtas website, with the politicians that you are looking for being the ones from your local constituency. 4, and finally, it's time for you to get in touch with these politicians. Now, as Jerry said, there is a myriad of ways in which you can do this. You can tag them in a tweet, you can send them an email or a letter, you can even book an appointment at your local TD's clinic. However, remember that Jerry said that sending an email is probably the most effective way to kick off the conversation, so maybe try that route first. And to conclude, I hope this video was helpful in unveiling the world of politics, even by just a little bit, and that you now have a far greater understanding of how you, an unstoppable and fully fueled member of today's youth, can get in touch with your local politicians and bring your social change to a wider scale. Please do feel free to like this video if you got some valuable, informative gems from it, and also if you think someone else could benefit from gaining those gems that you did in this video, then please do consider sharing this as well. With that all being said, thank you for watching and have a wonderful day. But more importantly, go make some change.